The taping of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert had started off just like any other evening. The band played, the audience cheered, and Colbert walked onto the stage with his signature energy, cracking jokes and warming up the crowd. Everyone in the studio was expecting a memorable night after all. The guest of honor was none other than Elon Musk, one of the most talked-about figures in the world. Musk, the billionaire CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and a half-dozen other ventures, had a reputation for being brilliant but unpredictable. Fans were eager to hear about his latest plans for Mars colonization, Tesla's innovations, and maybe even his newest ventures with AI. What nobody expected, however, was that the interview would escalate into one of the most shocking confrontations in late-night history. When Musk first stepped out, the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. Dressed in his usual understated black blazer and open-collar shirt, he carried himself with his trademark blend of awkwardness and authority. He gave a small wave, shook Colbert's hand, and sat down. Colbert greeted him warmly, joking about Musk being the real-life Tony Stark, a line that had been used so many times that Musk usually chuckled politely and moved on. But tonight, Musk didn't laugh. He only gave a half-smile, already seeming tense. The interview started calmly enough. Colbert asked him about Tesla's latest electric vehicle, the Cybertruck, and Musk answered in his usual clipped style. The audience chuckled when Colbert teased him about the infamous shatterproof glass demonstration that went wrong. Musk managed a small laugh, but there was a stiffness in his demeanor that didn't go unnoticed. Then Colbert pivoted. He brought up criticisms of Musk's management style, his clashes with employees, and his tendency to post controversial tweets that often sent markets spiraling. Colbert leaned in, his trademark smirk on display, and asked, "Elon, do you ever stop and think about how many people you're affecting when you tweet at 3 in the morning?" The audience chuckled at the jab, but Musk's face hardened. He adjusted in his seat, clearly preparing for battle. "Stephen," Musk replied, his voice lower than usual, "I don't think people realize how much pressure I'm under. I'm not tweeting for fun, I'm responding to real things. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to push humanity forward." Colbert, sensing blood in the water, didn't let up. "Sure, but sometimes it seems less like you're pushing humanity forward and more like you're pushing people's buttons. There's a difference between being a visionary and being reckless, don't you think?" The crowd dewed. Sensing the tension, Musk's jaw tightened. He began to defend himself, talking about how critics didn't understand the scale of what he was trying to achieve. He mentioned the countless hours he worked, the risks he took, and the sacrifices he made. His voice grew louder, more impassioned, almost as if he was trying to convince himself as much as the audience. But Colbert wasn't done. He pulled out a stack of cards, each with quotes and headlines about Musk's controversies, allegations of poor treatment of employees, safety concerns, chaotic leadership, even his attacks on journalists who criticized him. Holding one up, Colbert read aloud, "Elon Musk tells cave rescuer he's a pedo. Do you regret saying that?" The audience gasped. Musk's face flushed red, and he stammered for a moment. "That was a look, that was a mistake," Musk muttered. "I was angry. Yeah, people don't understand what was going on behind the scenes." Colbert, instead of backing down, pressed it harder. "But Elon, don't you see how that kind of anger undermines your own brilliance? You're supposed to be leading us into the future, but sometimes it feels like you're dragging us back into a Twitter fight." That's when the cracks started to show. Musk tried to laugh it off, but his voice caught slightly. His eyes glistened under the studio lights, and he rubbed his forehead as if struggling to keep control. The audience, who had started off laughing at the jabs, grew quieter. They could sense something raw happening on stage. Colbert leaned in again, this time softening his tone slightly. "Elon, I'm not trying to attack you here, but you're one of the most powerful men in the world right now. Do you ever feel a broken bar alone in that? Do you ever feel like maybe all this pressure is too much?" The question hung in the air like a stone dropped into water. Musk sat in silence for a long moment. His usual bravado had slipped away. Finally, his voice broke as he answered, "Yes, every day. People think I'm this unstoppable machine, But I'm not. I'm human. I make mistakes. Yeah, broken bar. I feel like no one really understands how much weight I'm carrying." The audience sat in stunned silence. Musk's eyes filled with tears as he tried to compose himself, but the dam had broken. His lips trembled, and he let out a shaky breath. The cameras captured every second as Elon Musk, the man so often portrayed as a near superhuman figure, wiped away tears on live television. Colbert, to his credit, didn't gloat. The smirk was gone from his face. He leaned forward, his voice gentle now, and said, "Elon, nobody expects you to be perfect, but people do expect you to be accountable. Maybe showing this side of yourself is what people need to see, and not the tweets, not the bravado, but the human being underneath." The audience, moved by the vulnerability on display, began to applaud softly. Musk looked down at the desk, avoiding eye contact, clearly overwhelmed. For a moment, it wasn't a talk show host and a billionaire interrupter. It was just two men having a painfully honest exchange in front of millions. The segment ended with Colbert thanking Musk for his candor, though the air in the studio was thick with unease. What had begun as a typical late-night interview had turned into one of the most shocking and emotional moments in TV history. Elon Musk, the man who wanted to colonize Mars and revolutionize transportation, had been stripped bare, made to confront his flaws, his burdens, and his humanity in front of a live audience. And as the cameras faded to commercial, whispers swept through the studio audience. Stephen Colbert had just made Elon Musk cry on live TV.